Bennett, you're in the room. I see
I'm
you.
here.
Great. All right, let's make sure we have a quorum.
I think I've got 8 with Delegate Young staff. Is that Delegate Young on it?
That might be his phone, I think.
No, I'm his legislative aide. He will be on in a second. Sorry about
All
that.
right, I think we need one more. I counted 7. Oh, hold on. We got 26 now.
Okay. Thank you to all the guests and visitors, the experts who were invited to join us. We're going to follow the norms that we use in our legislative subcommittee meetings and just ask that for visitors and experts, thank you for being here, but we just ask that until you're called on, you keep your cameras off and stay muted until you're called on. We love you, but it's a little bit cleaner for the screens, and that's just what we do in our subcommittees. Thank you. Nice to
Nope.
see you. Blendy, I see you, but turn your camera off. Okay.
So with Delegate
Wonderful.
Rosenberg, I think you've got 8 now.
Terrific. Sounds like we have a quorum. Okay. Um, I think we can get started. So, Heather, can you take us live?
Yes, we're all good to go right now.
Say again.
I said we're all good to go.
Okay. Are we live?
Yes, I have now put us live.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. The Baltimore City House delegation meeting is now called to order. I'm Delegate Robin Lewis. It is February 13th, and on behalf of all 14 members of the House delegation, welcome. Greetings to stakeholders, constituents, and friends who are joining us today. I'm honored to serve as chair, and we will now get started. But before we begin, I'd like to thank our staff. I think it's important to recognize the people who make our work possible. First, I'd like to thank Heather Bertling, our delegation director, who keeps our operations rolling smoothly. I want to acknowledge Heather also for making sure that today we are live streaming from the Maryland General Assembly YouTube platform. It's a bit new for folks who've joined us on Facebook Live in the past. The migration to the General Assembly YouTube actually helps us make sure our meetings get recorded and archived effectively, and they don't get lost. And you'll be able to find them in perpetuity on the Maryland General Assembly YouTube channel. So thank you, Heather, for getting us set up for that. Heather also makes sure that we keep our communications flowing, and I just want to acknowledge and thank Heather for that. I'd also like to thank Matt Bennett, our delegation counsel, who advises us on legislative and other matters. And Matt's with us every Friday morning, so thank you, Matt. And last, I'd like to clarify norms with regard to sponsor panels and witnesses, outside experts who come in to join us in bill hearings. Members of the delegation can invite various experts and advocates to testify on their bills, just as we do here in bill hearings in the House of Delegates. We just ask that for coordination and organization purposes, just like in our committees, we just ask that members inform myself and Heather, our delegation director, in advance of the names and contact information of the witnesses you'd like to bring. It just helps us keep track so that we make sure folks that are let into the meeting are ready to participate in the deliberation process. So until our witnesses and outside experts are called on, we ask that they keep their cameras off and stay muted until they're called on. But we welcome you and thank you for being here. Okay, any questions? Then let's get started. Today's agenda begins with approval of the previous meeting minutes. So our last meeting was January 30th. Are or any questions, any discussion on the January 30th meeting minutes? Any corrections? I may not see your hand. Feel free to unmute and speak, members. If there's no discussion, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Great. Second? I don't hearing a second.
Second.
Thank you. So having been properly moved and seconded, the meeting minutes, let us all those all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and the ayes have it. The January 30th meeting minutes are approved. Heather will finalize those and archive the final version for us to have access to. Great. Now we'll move to bill hearings. That's next on our agenda. We have, I think, 5 bills to hear today. These are local bills. We're going to start with House Bill 503, then which is Delegate Smith. Then House Bill 717, Delegate Edelson. Next, House Bill 681, that's an administration bill. And then lastly, House Bill 918, that's Delegate Young's bill. So we'll go through in that order. And I would ask Delegate Smith to come forward with House Bill 503. Emma, I believe you have a panel of witnesses with you. I think you have 3 witnesses. And
Yes,
they
Madam
can
Chair, they're
unmute.
available for questions.
Available for questions. Okay, I have Nick Blendy from the Sheriff's Office, Ari Plout, and Nina Themelis. So they'll
Yep.
be with us. Great. Thank you, Delegate. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair, colleagues. For the record, Delegate Stephanie Smith, here to present House Bill 503. Now, this bill probably looks familiar to you because it's identical to a bill that we actually passed last session that unfortunately did not make it out of the Senate before sine die. What this bill does, for your remembrance, is that it closes a loophole so that when labor contract negotiations are occurring for the Sheriff's Department, it is clear that the Sheriff's Office FOP Lodge 22 members can bargain for salary, wages, and merit step increases. This bill is necessary because without it, the parties have been essentially engaged in a workaround that is confusing and suboptimal. And so it is really important to kind of get this bill passed so that we can move in a more coherent manner. I want to note that FOP 22, the Sheriff's Office, and the Mayor's Office are all in favor of this bill as they were last session. And so I'm happy to answer any questions or defer to the union, the Sheriff's Office, or the Mayor's staff who are all here today if more appropriate. Again, I request a favorable report on House Bill 503, and I thank you for your time today, colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate. Colleagues, any question? So there's no questions on this bill that we passed last year in 2025 that passed the House 110 to 27. Am I hearing that right? Great. Great. All right. Let us, if there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion on the bill.
I would move that we, again, vote favorably on this bill.
Second.
Second.
Great. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Okay, the bill having been properly moved and seconded, the bill we passed last year, having properly been moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
nays?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Matt, can we take a roll call?
Sure. Delegate Addison. Delegate Ampry. Delegate Boyce.
Yes.
Delegate Clippinger. Delegate Conaway. Delegate Edelson. Delegate Embry.
Yes.
Delegate Rosenberg.
Aye.
Delegate Ruff. Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Delegate Stinnett.
Yes.
Delegate Wells.
Yes.
Delegate Young. Delegate Lewis.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Clippinger
Great.
votes aye.
Clippinger votes aye, Matt.
I got him.
Conway votes aye.
We've got Delegate Conaway as well.
Got him.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, colleagues. We're going to move on to our next bill. That is House Bill 717, Delegate Edelson. And Delegate Edelson.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marley Mielich. I'm Delegate Edelson's Chief of Staff. He can't be here this morning.
Okay. I think that makes it kind of tough to hear his bill. Hopefully everything's okay. That baby hasn't arrived yet, has it?
Yeah, he met his newest constituent
Oh,
today.
oh, the baby arrived. Oh, is everyone okay?
Mhm.
Last night?
This morning.
Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, we have a new constituent. That makes it super awkward for Delegate Edelson to present his bill. So I think what we'll do, we'll postpone his hearing and
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
Chair, point of order, she can present the bill.
Can she?
Yes, she can.
We authorize you to do
Yes.
that for him, Marley. Okay, is that why? Oh, wonderful. All right. In that case, let's not postpone. Let's proceed with the hearing. Marley, in representing Delegate Edelson, the new dad, will you please go ahead? My understanding is you have a couple of witnesses.
Yes.
I've got Nick Manis, Heather Darney, Brandon Etheridge, Lisa Harris-Jones, and Nina Themelis on your witness list. Does that sound right?
It does.
Okay, great. Well, please go ahead, Marley.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chair Lewis and esteemed members of the Baltimore City House delegation. For the record, my name is Marley Mielich. I'm presenting on behalf of Delegate Edelson, HB 717. For those of you who have been with the legislature beyond this session, you may remember a bill that Delegate Edelson brought before this body last year that would permit 50-50 raffles to be conducted at all Orioles home games. Up until that point, only 12 raffles could be conducted in a year. These raffles are a fun way to engage with the game, and because half of the proceeds go to a charitable organization in Baltimore City, they're a fantastic way to support the phenomenal work of our local organizations. Delegate Edelson was successful in passing the bill last year. This year, Delegate Edelson is bringing a similar bill to permit the same kind of 50-50 raffles at Ravens home games. In addition to that, this bill also lifts the sunset provision created by the last bill. I will leave it to Delegate Edelson's panel to discuss the specific parameters of the raffles and their applications, and thank you very much for your consideration, and Delegate Edelson would urge a favorable report for HB 717.
Thank you, Marley. So let's go to our, first let's ask the members if they have any questions. I have a question for the witness panel, whoever's best prepared to answer this question. Is there any opposition to this bill? And whoever on the panel can answer that?
Sure. I'm Lisa Harris-Jones. I represent the Orioles. I know that Nick Manis and others are here on behalf of the Ravens. We know of no opposition to the best bill that has been introduced this session. And it's the best bill ever because why would anybody oppose the ability to raise money and to be sure that the funds go to great causes within the city of Baltimore? And that's exactly what you guys did last year. The Orioles were able to raise over $158,000 and be able to fund things like North Curl Recreation Council, Holland Park Elementary School, Living Classrooms, Poly, BSO, BMA, and the list goes on. We worked with the mayor's office, the Baltimore City Police Department, to ensure that the additional language to allow for NFL teams playing in Baltimore City were also able to participate and do the same things that the Orioles have been able to do. The bill also removes the sunset so that we can continue in this manner. And why would there ever be any opposition, Madam Chair? This is an awesome bill.
Wow, that is persuasive testimony. Thank you, Ms. Harris-Jones. Colleagues, if you have questions, I might not see your hand raised, so please feel free to unmute and ask to be recognized if there are questions.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Delegate Boyce.
Again, thank you so much. This is the same exact bill we passed last year, correct?
It just has a couple nuances because, of course, NFL teams played less games, and the permit takes you into January, February, so to allow for playoff games and the mini Super Bowls that we may have in Baltimore City.
Pardon.
So that's the only different nuances to
But
allow for
generally,
NFL.
Ms. Harris
same
Jones,
thing.
the same. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Any other questions, members, for the panel? Delegate Rosenberg, you're a big sports fan. This is your chance to be heard.
Well, I was going to say there's no Super Bowl in the near future. Here, we may be in it, but it won't be here. I don't know that Baltimore's, but it's a worthy, hopefully there's a playoff game here next year, or plural games. There's always a Preakness except when the track is being renovated, if I may.
Very helpful
Thank you.
context. Very helpful. Thank you, Delegate. All right.
Madam Chair, if I could real quickly, I'd just like to thank the chair, Madam Vice Chair, and also Delegate Edelson for putting in the bill, Nick Manis on behalf of the Baltimore Ravens. So we greatly appreciate it. Here to answer any questions. This will allow us to continue to do great things in the city. And if anyone has any, questions, even offline, we'll be happy to answer them for you. But I just wanted to thank you and appreciate the delegation bringing the bill up.
Thanks, Mr. Manis. Colleagues, last chance for questions. All right. Fantastic. All right. If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion on the bill.
Move the bill, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the bill having been properly moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
nays? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Matt, can you help us with the roll call?
Delegate Addison. Delegate Ampry.
Yes.
Delegate Boyce.
Yes.
Delegate Clippinger.
Yes.
Delegate Conaway.
Yes.
Delegate Edelson. Oh, sorry. Delegate Embry.
Yes.
Delegate Rosenberg.
Yes.
Delegate Ruff. Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
Delegate Stinnett.
Yes.
Delegate Wells.
Yes.
Delegate Young.
Yes.
The ayes have it.
I can vote too, I think.
Oh,
right, Matt?
sorry, Chair Lewis.
Aye. It's the funnest part of this job is getting to vote yes on local bills. All right, thank you so much. With that, House Bill 717 passes. Thank you, colleagues. We're going to move on. The next item on our agenda is House Bill 681. That's an administration bill.
Madam Chair,
Oh, yes.
real quick, I think on Delegate Smith's bill, I did vote yes, but I don't think I was heard. So I just wanted to make sure I registered that for the record.
Thank you, Delegate Young. Matt, can we make sure to
got it.
update the roll call?
Madam Chair, may I also be recorded in the green for Delegate Smith's bill as well?
It's going to cost you, Delegate. Okay. Yes.
I'll pay the cost.
Thank you, Delegate Ruff. Matt, let's make sure
The
we
same,
have-
please.
Oh, and Delegate Addison as well. Okay. Addison, Ruff, and Young, yes, on House Bill. It was
503.
503. Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right. Takes a village. Okay, we are moving on to our next bill. The administration bill 681, the ordinance enforcement, amount of fines and penalties. Now, I am aware that Ms. Themelis will be presenting this bill, and she's having a little, I don't know how good your voice is this morning. Do you think you can go ahead?
I think I can make it through. I have been a bit under the weather, so my voice is a little wavering, but I can present.
All right, please go ahead. And I believe you have a few witnesses with you or is it just you? It'll just be you. Okay.
Just me for this one. Yep. So good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chairs, and members of the Baltimore City House Delegation. Nina Themelis, Director of Government Affairs for Mayor Scott in Baltimore City, here to present House Bill 681. 681 would amend Section 48 of Article 2 of the Baltimore City Charter. So that is the general powers that are granted to the city by the state. Right now, the city charter reads that the maximum amount that the city can charge for any fine or penalty is $1,000. And that cap has been set for about 44 years. So it was set back in 1982. Many of our maximum penalties right now are applied toward vacant housing issues and illegal dumping, but that maximum cap also prevents us from having appropriate graduated fine and penalty structures to deter behavior across the city. So each year, the Department of Housing and Community Development responds to about 13,000 service requests for illegal dumping. And so at this point in time, when some of those illegal dumping complaints result in 3.5 tons of tires that have been dumped, the cost of remediating those complaints far exceeds that $1,000 penalty. And we can only impose that $1,000 penalty when we've actually been able to identify the person, which also takes staff resources and time in order to provide that identification. Back in 2024, there was a bill passed by the General Assembly to allow charter counties to increase their penalty amount to $5,000 as the cap. And so this legislation does exactly that for Baltimore City as well. I do want to mention, while it's not in my written testimony, that there has been conversation in the Senate delegation, rather than lifting the cap from $1,000 to $5,000, to instead authorize the city to set its maximum penalties or to determine what those penalties may be. But with that, I will urge a favorable report on House Bill 681, but I would also like to ensure that there's discussion around a potential amendment that would tweak how those maximum penalties are determined. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Themelis. And I think there are no other witnesses, so we'll be counting on you to answer member questions. Colleagues, any questions? Delegate Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see you, Nina. You better take care of yourself. We need you. We've had this bill before, right? This bill came to ENT.
Yes. It you have heard the bill before, but it did not pass last year.
That's correct. And just for clarification, a couple of years ago, did we not pass a bill to deputize, for instance, city inspectors to as related to tires, to be able to cite tires dumping that then went up to MDE, because MDE is the sole is essentially responsible for tire and tire dumping, and so I'm sure that takes some time away from us as well. I certainly am in support of this bill, whatever I think we have to do to make the tweaks so that this is beneficial and for the city. I want to work on that, so I'd be interested in those amendments as the Senate has suggested.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Embry.
Thanks, and I share the support. I just want to make sure I understand, did the Senate pass it with the amendment, or it's just under discussion?
It's currently under discussion. I believe at their next voting session, they'll take up the matter, and they have drafted the amendment, and it is similar to what they had drafted last session as well.
Do you mind circulating the amendment so that we can see it?
I absolutely can, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Delegate Embry.
Thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues? If I can't see your hand, please unmute and ask to be recognized. All right. Hearing no other questions, it sounds like this is a worthy piece of legislation. As Delegate Boyce mentioned, it builds on our past work, expanding authority for the city to hold illegal dumpers accountable and to stop the It's a really a long-standing example of predation and abuse of our city by folks who treat us like a trash can. So I know my constituents are tired of it. I know everyone else's are too. So this seems like a worthy approach to addressing the problem and closing the gap, the financial gap that it imposes on us. So, but given the fact that the Senate's working on amendment, and we're waiting for that amendment language, Nina, as requested, you will share that with us. I'll also be in touch with the Senate delegation chair, make sure we keep the loop, the circle continuous here. And I made note that Delegate Boyce is very interested with her past experience on these matters, working on the amendment to make sure we get the bill in the strongest posture. So with that, any other comments from colleagues? That's what we're going to do on this bill, and we'll bring it back for further discussion once we have the amendment. All right, wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We're going to move on to the next bill on our agenda, and that's the last bill for discussion. House Bill 918, Delegate Young, cigarettes, other tobacco products, and electronic smoking devices, local laws. Delegate Young, will you come forward? And I believe you have Julia Roche from the Baltimore City Health Department on your panel.
Yes, Madam Chair, and I apologize. I'm having some computer issues. My Zoom just froze on my computer, but I was able to get on my phone, so I'll be able to talk. But I did want to try to show you all a map, and also, Madam Chair, Councilman Clover, and also a representative from Councilman Blanchard's office should also be on the call as well. Colleagues, thank you again for your time for House Bill 918. This legislation merely would expressly make sure that the Baltimore City Council has the authority to pass zoning ordinance as it pertains to tobacco and smoke and vape shops in our city. As we know, we've had a significant proliferation of these establishments throughout the city. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you all is this map here, which I'm going to try to share this way, but I see it's bear with the technology for me, everybody. Please, just a moment. Let me get this video filter off and share with you this way. Are you all able to see this map?
Yes, looks great. Thank you.
Thank you. So if you look at the map, this is a map of our city. And all of the red dots that you see are the smoke shops, which are in our city. I'm going to zoom in right here on Monument Street, where you'll see a significant proliferation and concentration of smoke shops right here on this line. I could go to other parts in everybody's district mostly and identify where we really just have these smoke shops all over the place. And I can also, what I would like to do is just share with you a breakdown from the standpoint of income, so that way you can see that these shops are also really concentrated in some of our poorest neighborhoods. So it looks like, oh, I see. I think my chief of staff is on there doing his thing. I appreciate you taking over, sir, because I'm showing it on my screen and I see it changing a little bit slower on that one. But you'll see if you zoom in on East Baltimore and West Baltimore, and what we generally call the back butterfly, you'll see also, once again, it's those same spaces. And if we also were to show this information from the standpoint of racial demographic, they are clearly in our Blacker neighborhoods. One of the big things that is also of concern is that these shops only cost, the license to open one of these shops is only $350 annually. And, you know, certainly I believe that that's something that, you know, we want to make sure that our council has the opportunity to adjust, or we could adjust. But again, I think we've all heard these the complaints from our residents about the conditions of the smoke shops and kind of how they are how, I would put it like this: they've been kind of deemed the new liquor stores, where the loitering happens, where there's other nefarious activity, and that's not every actor. And indeed, there are many who are running good business, but at the same time, we know that, you know, there's a chronic issue, and then there's a health issue as well that I'm eager to hear from the health department to talk to you all about. But with that, Madam Chair and colleagues, I just want to ask if you have a favorable report and your support on this legislation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delegate, for bringing the bill and for your testimony. Colleagues, do you have questions for the sponsor panel?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, Delegate, I just want to know on this map. Thank you so much for bringing this bill forward. And as you know, I'm a co-sponsor on the bill, so it's an issue in my neighborhood. But just for the sake of this map, is this looking at stores that are exclusively tobacco stores, or is this map also including like our gas stations and stores that happen to also sell tobacco? I just want to understand if there any distinction here, just so I can have a better understanding of the map. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, the goal of the legislation is focused on the tobacco shops that are exclusively tobacco stores and not necessarily, we're not going to tell the goal would not be to tell a gas station of sorts to not be able to continue to do and have the business that they've been having. So, if there's any concern pertaining to whether there's overlap, that's something I would certainly entertain.
Thank you.
All right, I see a couple hands up. I saw Delegate Embry first and then Delegate Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate Young, I love this bill. I hope it passes. If it does, how does it play out with regard to existing stores?
Well, right now, I don't think that it would change anything as far as existing stores. But again, there are annual license renewals that would be part of the conversation. We also know that there are a challenge with some of these stores with regard to the service or the sale of illegal cannabis. And we've been engaged with the ATC as it pertains to that. And so there's also conversation about where we are finding and identifying those stores that are doing those negative activities, that it would have a negative impact on not only that store being able to continue, but then for there to be another store to replace it in the future. So that's some of the goals that we're trying to get at. But as it currently stands, it wouldn't change the current stores. But at the same time, the council, if they change the zoning, could say that over time there would be a phase out. And there's some constitutional concerns about that, but with the appropriate structure, that could be brought in as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I see Delegate Boyce, and then Councilman, I will call on you. So if you just bear with us. Thank you, Delegate Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a point of order. This is a bill hearing, and so I'm assuming that the panel is going to be testifying, which is why they're here for their 2 minutes testimony. So I'm just a little confused that we're talking to the panel, but they haven't testified to the bill. So I was just asking about clarification.
Thank you, Delegate. Right now, members are asking the sponsor questions. He gave his testimony. There were some questions, and I think it is good and proper to follow protocol. Any members had questions for the sponsor? All right, thank you. I'm not seeing anyone else. So Delegate Young, we're going to bring up your sponsor panel. And because there are folks who were added, they were not on my list. Just want to make sure I got it right. So I have Julia Roche from the Health Department. And then Delegate Young, you mentioned that Councilman Glover and Councilman Blanchard are also in the room.
I believe a staffer for Councilman Blanchard.
Okay. So what we'll do, we'll go to Ms. Roche from the Health Department, who's on my list to testify. And we'll go ahead with that. So Julia, I see you. Will you please proceed?
Absolutely. And I just wanted to note that we also have Kathy Hoke, who I'm sure many of you know. I don't know if she made it onto the list, but frankly, I'm not even sure if this is allowed, but at least for the question and answer portion, she is an expert. She's an excellent resource about this topic. But I'll jump right into my testimony.
Okay, and I'll ask Ms. Hoke, thank you for being here. If you'd be so kind to turn off your camera until you're called on. Thank you. Ms. Roche, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and members of the city delegation. My name is Julia Roche, and I serve as the Legislative Affairs Director at the Baltimore City Health Department. I'm here on behalf of the city administration in support of this bill, and also to respectfully request a really simple amendment. I know that many of you co-sponsored it, so you are already familiar with it, what it does, but I still want to take a moment to explain why it's so important to us. So this bill authorizes or would authorize Baltimore City to enact and enforce local laws regulating the sale, distribution, and packaging of tobacco and tobacco-related products. It does not seek to extend local power to licensing or taxation, as those are the domain of the state. So the Baltimore City Health Department enforces certain tobacco laws, like the sale of tobacco to individuals under 21. However, our ability to enforce and the city's ability to create local laws about the sale, distribution, and packaging of tobacco and tobacco-related products is hamstrung by a now infamous 2013 court decision called Altatus USA v. Prince George's County. So in short, what Altatus did is it struck down two PG County ordinances concerning the packaging, sale, and distribution of cigars, as the court determined that counties were preempted from regulating packaging and sale of tobacco products. So this actually resulted in two provisions of the city's health code being invalidated, including a provision about the sale of unpackaged cigarettes, aka loosies, and one about flavored tobacco wrappings. So since this Altatus decision, all Maryland counties, including the city, have been prevented from passing and enforcing legislation to address the sale, distribution, and packaging of tobacco products. And this bill would restore our authority to do that here in the city. And just the amendment I mentioned, there is a section of the business regulation article that created a carve out for us to refer cases of unpackaged cigarette sales to the state. So we're recommending that the bill be amended to remove that provision, as there would otherwise be a conflict within the article. So on behalf of the city administration, I respectfully ask you to vote favorably on this bill with that amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roche. Now, that's very helpful. I have a question for you, and then I'll just ask my question. On the amendment you just described, could you repeat what that amendment proposes? You said it proposes to remove a provision to what?
Yes. So, and I can tell you the section. It's in the business regulation article, and it's section 16-3082. And that provision created a carve out for it was actually trying to get around Altatus. It created a carve out for us to refer sales of unpackaged cigarettes to the state for them to then enforce it. And if this bill were to pass, we should be able to enforce the sale of unpackaged cigarettes. We shouldn't have to refer that to the state. So we would just like that provision, which is currently helpful to us, but if this bill were to pass, would become unnecessary and actually a conflict within the article. So we're asking that that be removed.
Do you have that amendment language?
Yes.
And has it been sent to us?
It should be at the end of our testimony, I think.
Okay. Would you be so kind and resend your testimony to me?
Absolutely.
And I'll make sure that members have it. And since we're looking at a possible amendment, that means we need a little more time. Members will need time to process that information, but if you get that to me, I'll make sure everyone gets it. It's helpful. Okay, now, since you were the only witness on my list, others were invited. I'm sorry, they were not on my witness list. So my understanding is that Councilman Glover is present, and I'll just open the floor for members of the delegation to ask questions of Ms. Roche or Councilman Glover, and you can get your questions answered. Delegate Boyce.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Councilman Glover, I would love to hear some of your thoughts on this bill as it relates to District 13.
Thank you, Delegate, and thank you, Madam Chair and the delegation here in Baltimore this morning for being here and allowing me to testify. So, as some of you may have known, I've in the beginning taken the lead on the smoke shops here in the city of Baltimore, and I've asked my colleagues on the council and also in the state delegation to join me in solidarity because of the fact that in one particular area, which I represent on East Monument Street, there is within a 3-block radius, we have exactly 13 smoke shops. in that block. And what I've also witnessed is that when I've talked to some of the principals in my district, and also I've talked to some of the principals in some of your respective districts of the city, their number one reason for suspension is because of the vapes that the kids are bringing to school. So this is really, really a health crisis when it comes to our young people. I've had many constituents that I represent in the district have inboxed me on social media to let me know that their kid is in Hopkins and they don't know what it is that was sold to them. But in many cases, some of these have been life and death situations. To bring to point with Delegate, Emery was talking about, in 1968, there was over like 2,200 liquor stores that existed in the city of Baltimore. Now it's 1,000 less. And, the city, we can see is doing a lot much better with many of those liquor stores gone. So what I see now here is just that new wave of liquor stores, which happen to be smoke shops. And I also see that it's also created our next generation of addicts, which is our young people. This is not like something that I'm pushing against those that are doing the right things, but they're popping up any and everywhere. And just the other day, 2 days ago, I have pictures, if you guys want to see, but we have guys and women standing outside of these smoke shops in lines. And not just in lines, but they have security at these stores. So when you see things like that, and we're from the city, we know there are other things that's going on inside those smoke shops other than vapes. They're selling illegal products. And we got to get a hold of that right now. So this is the reason why I'm coming on to testify and get my point across to the delegation, because this is very, very important to the citizens that we represent here in Baltimore. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman. I just wanted a quick follow-up, Madam Chair. Can I have a
Please,
follow-up, please?
of course, absolutely.
So I heard a couple of things earlier. One, I think the delegate said that the license is $350 for a year.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, which and that's set by the city or the state? I'm confused. The state, I see Julia.
Yes, the licensing is the domain of the state.
State. Okay, so the state sets the price at $350 a year for these places. You said a lot of the suspension is due to the vapes.
Yes.
It's connection to the vapes. And then I guess the other question is we know in general marketing is an issue, right? And so has there been and I don't fully I signed on to Delegate Young's bill. I know I'm losing my mind. But really talking about marketing, is there anything specific that you've seen in your day-to-day with the marketing? I know there's a couple of shops now that has opened up in District 43A. They tend to look the same to me. Very bright, kind of like little bead lights all around. They're all starting to have like all the same kind of look and feel. Very clean and bright and open. With a lot of like I don't want to say strobe light, but like neon, yes, lighting.
Yeah. So yeah, to your point, Delegate, that's true. Councilman Jones is also proposing some legislation on those bright lights that we do see at those establishments inside the districts across the city. But the advertisement is advertisement towards our young people. So when we did the proposal of the bills, I don't know if you guys seen it, but I've shown some things on camera where they're like candy wrappers, and cartoon characters that they're using to draw a lot of our young people into the stores. Now, we do have one shop on Monument Street that once that news article came out, he did switch from changing the cartoon characters from his store to just making it blackout. They're also advertising like the hookers and things of that nature inside of the windows, which by law they're not able to do. They're not able to have, if I believe, they can't advertise. I think it's like 80%. I
Right.
could be wrong with the numbers, but
The
and our
window
product,
dressing.
yeah, yeah, and they're going against the law when it comes to that. We've had a total of two different raids um, in the district with multiple individuals getting shut down, only to later on find out within a week or two they're reopened. So this has really, really, really been a crisis in our city,
Yeah.
and we just, asking that the state just, help us, to get a hold on this thing because it's really starting to get out of hand. Because this drug or whatever they're using, because even the health department here in the city of Baltimore, the director stated that some of these things we don't even know what they're selling. Like
Right.
we're trying to get a hold of it as well. But I know
Councilman,
that.
I don't mean to cut you off because there are other people
uh
that want to ask a
I'm
question.
sorry.
Is there
I'm sorry.
between you and the sponsor an appetite to look at essentially the licensing, either cost, fees, and or restricting what that license can hold? So I just wonder if that's if you're amenable to that.
So we didn't propose anything about the licensing fees and things of that nature. What I did ask, and I'm hoping that we can kind of put a moratorium in where we stop it for like about 6 months to allow these pop-up shops to come up, meaning, don't allow licenses to occur for like the next 6 months till we get a hold of what's going on. So that's the only thing. I don't have anything where we're saying, extend the fees to these shops or anything like that. It was just basically about how do we get a hold of the individuals that are popping up in our community with these smoke shops.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Glover. Thank you, Delegate Boyce.
Madam
I
Chair,
see a few more members have their hands up. I saw Delegate Ruff and then Delegate Rosenberg. Delegate Ruff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And of course, thank you to the bill sponsor. I proudly am also a co-sponsor of this bill. And my question is similar to, follows along the lines of Delegate Boyce's, talking about what the plan would be in utilizing this enabling legislation past changing potentially. I would assume you guys are looking to change the amount it would cost, as Delegate Boyce alluded to. Are there other plans in regulating these shops that can really help us curb them? And we're experiencing the same thing that you're talking about in District 41. I know specifically we've heard a lot of complaints from the Irvington neighborhood and Emerson Village neighborhoods. What other plans do you have to push your colleagues in doing and regulating these smoke shops beyond the price of the licensing?
So, Delegate, thanks for the question. So again, it's myself. I'm having a informational hearing in March. So we just bring all the experts together. Those questions that you're asking are questions that my colleagues have proposed. Um, with their bills, which is Councilman Jermaine Jones and also Councilman Blanchard. They have those answers for you. That is a part of their particular bills. Mine is just an informational hearing to even identify what is it to look like for a smoke shop and things of that nature. And we have those experts coming in March to testify on behalf of that. So I do think we do have someone representing Councilman Blanchard's office here today on the call, and maybe they can answer that.
Delegate Ruff, would you like to ask a question of Councilman Blanchard's office?
Sure. I mean, if Councilman Blanchard's office is able to weigh in, that'd be great. I think one of the questions I have is there a way to um, figure out how to curb the density and to figure out how to, create regulations that require, that there are certain, amount of shops per square mile or whatnot. Just working on lowering the density, just as you talked about with, getting rid of some liquor stores. How do we, how do you guys as a body, the local legislative body, curb the density of these shops, and then other, potential initiatives that you all may have, would be great for us to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question, Delegate Ruff. My name is Joshua Spokes, Director of Legislative Affairs for Councilman Blanchard. Councilman Blanchard introduced City Council Bill 25-00114 in this past fall, which proposes to use Baltimore City's land use authority to create a dispersal requirement for smoke shops and also prohibits the citing of new smoke shops in proximity to schools, parks, and recreation centers. So we have plans to make use of the city's land use authority, which is established and currently being used in Prince George's County and Montgomery County, as far as I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Spokes. Delegate Ruff, were your questions answered?
Yes, thank you. And I would assume that our bill allows you guys to do that.
The city's land use authority is independent of its ability to regulate tobacco and the sale and packaging thereof.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate Ruff. Delegate Rosenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just, in concurrence with Delegate Ruff, there is in particular a community in Southwest Baltimore in our district that has felt it has no input into the decision-making process by the city as to whether a license is to be granted in their neighborhood. And that is the will of the committee and will of the delegation as to whether we want to specifically provide for that or defer, or whether we want to defer to the city council.
So that sounds like a question for members.
And for this council member or members who are here or represented today.
So I would ask
Glover.
first Councilman Glover, if you want to respond to that question from.
Yeah, thank you, Delegate. Yeah, we would hope that, we in the city have the authority to kind of pick and choose who we do want to come into the community when it comes to the smoke shops. But what I've seen is that before they even open the smoke shops, they'll advertise the word supermarket, right? And the community is excited because, look, hey, we got a supermarket coming to the neighborhood, but they will have the things that supermarkets may have, which is like the fresh produce, but the fresh produce is maybe an orange or two, an apple, and a banana, like those three items, and maybe a gallon of milk and a carton of eggs. It's like maybe one or two of those items, but 95% of the items that are sold in there are smoke shop items. So we're trying to get a hold on how do we kind of regulate and how do we get a hold on with like DECD before they even issue these licenses and things of the nature out to the communities or whatever that wants to be, to the businesses that want to be in our community. How do we make sure that instead of it being 90 to 95% tobacco products, is 90 to 95% fresh produce in there, which they had put on licenses when they first got them in the beginning. So that's what we're roughing, that's what we're kind of like, running around with right now. And I think that's the purpose of us having this hearing on March the 19th, so that the experts, like one from Hopkins, someone from the state, I mean, people are really coming in to testify to say that it is a health, issue here in the city of Baltimore, but we need our state partners to make some changes first before the city is able to move forward on some of the things that we want to see in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. For Councilman Blanchard's office there, Mr. Spokes, did you want to respond to Delegate Rosenberg's question?
I'm sorry, would Delegate Rosenberg mind repeating the question?
Sure. The communities that we've dealt with want to have notice similar, I think, to on a liquor license, that activity or a license is proposed for a location in their community. Is that something that you have the authority to do under the bill as written or under existing law, or do you need specific authority to do that?
Yeah, I don't believe that the city has the current authority to do that because of the licenses are issued at the state level. And so if there was, some kind of notice requirement added to the licensure at the state level, that's certainly something that Councilman Blanchard, I think, would appreciate.
And that would be this bill, that the appropriate vehicle could be this bill that's before us today.
Could be. Thank you. Thank you, Delegate Rosenberg.
Thank you.
I see the bill sponsor wanting to weigh in. Please go ahead, Delegate Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this also might help with an answer to some of what Delegate Boyce mentioned. You know, this $350 is set by the state, but the licenses are issued by the clerk of the court. And so part of the reason that I had not engaged with that part just yet is because of trying to engage with the clerk of the court's office. And I think that also goes to you, Delegate Rosenberg, your question as it pertains to notice. You know, some of it is a matter of making sure that the clerk of the court understands his role in this process, and understanding that, you know, this proliferation of the licenses is happening, you know, because he's signing on these licenses and putting them out there. So, you know, we've reached out. We just haven't had the opportunity to get connected. We've reached out for the last few weeks. And again, I didn't want to go ahead and push too hard right away without having a conversation with him and trying in deference. We got a pretty good relationship. But I do think that that's something I would love to look at. And with that, Madam Chair, I wouldn't want to vote this bill today, given the conversation. If we can continue the conversation and look at some of these amendments, and maybe come back at a future meeting and vote on the bill, I would appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Delegate Young, for your thoughtfulness and your willingness to work on this. It's clear from our city colleagues that the proliferation of smoke shops is a pressing public health issue. It's also an economic issue, and it's affecting the educational outcomes of our kids. So when kids are suspended, they're less likely to graduate, all the things that flow from that, you guys know very well. So this seems like a clear and pressing matter. I think it makes sense to give you the time you need to work on it. I'm also hearing, just to make sure I caught everything, because this is way more complex than it, as usual, than it looks on the surface. But you'll want to, it seems important that you have the time to communicate with the Baltimore City Clerk of Court. It seems like you need time to work with the health department on their amendments. And if I captured that, those are the high level next steps. You certainly want to support you in that. So stay in touch with us and let us know how this is moving along. Everyone in the delegation seems willing to help.
Madam Chair, and quickly, I think the councilman asked for a moratorium and potential, and I think that would make it potentially an emergency bill. So just adding that to the record. That's something that we want to talk about.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to our council colleagues. We are in this together. So we'll keep working together. Thanks for being here. Delegate Rosenberg, I see your hand still up.
Oh, my fault.
Okay, great. So we will not take action on House Bill 681 right now, but we will come back to it and make it as strong as we can. That is the last bill to be heard in today's agenda. Next, we have news and announcements, new business and announcements. Are there any announcements? I wonder if the Alcoholic Beverages and Licensing Subcommittee has any updates for us. I believe there's a meeting of the subcommittee coming up. Okay, we'll make sure to get that information out. Any other new business? Okay, I think there is one announcement worth making, and that's just to make sure everyone heard that our colleague, Delegate Mark Edelson, and his wife have welcomed a new baby into the world. So we all have a new constituent, and we'll look forward to congratulating and sending them good wishes. Other than that, we are scheduled to meet next Friday, February 20th, but stay tuned for updates. And if there is no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second. Great. You guys are wonderful. Good to be with you. See you on the floor.
Happy Friday.